Prescott in the huddle, walks out between his offensive linemen, and Dak spits down towards the ground, but in the direction of the Eagles with Carter, who had walked over there, and that begins the interaction of the two. Prescott's spit was down, Carter was right face to face and onto his uniform jersey.
Well, we only got about 1,001 Hawk Tua jokes on Twitter out of that tonight. Man, before we get into that, this actually happened. It is very for real. Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather are going to be fighting in an exhibition bout. You know what? We can't give things like this credence. We can't give it time. We can't give it money. Because as long as we do, as long as we give it attention, it's just going to stay lingering right there. So I'm going to acknowledge that it's happening, but this is it. And I will not bring it up again. I don't care who wins. I don't care who loses. You're not going to give me one nostalgia factor anymore. No, we're done. I'm not watching anymore. I don't care if this thing is happening for free in a building that's 10 minutes away from me. I'm not going to go see this. I'm not going to watch it at a bar. I'm not going to get a pay-per-view. I'm not going to watch it on a local station. I don't care. That's it. That's that. We're done. Tyson is over the hill past his prime. And if he does something crazy like knock out Mayweather in an exhibition, which ain't going to happen, then there's going to be real uproar about that fight that he had with Paul. By the way, I'm not going to bother with his next fight. I'm done. Why give it time? If I give it time, I validate it. If I watch it, I validate it. And I'm not into validating that charade anymore. I'm just saying. Speaking of charade, boy, everybody thought Jalen Carter was public enemy number one. I mean, the internet blew up. How can he be so ignorant? Come to find out. Look, here's the thing. Nobody's going to talk about CeeDee Lamb and the drop passes now. We're not going to be discussing whether or not the weather had an effect on that football game in terms of the winner and loser, whether it had an effect on the outcome in terms of the second half. There were hardly any points scored in that football game. And it's a field goal, that was it. And we're not going to talk about how Dallas just said to heck with it and sold out against the run, and they were determined to stop Saquon no matter what, about whether or not having Micah Parsons affected them defensively, especially in the first couple of quarters of that football game, and how long it took them before they actually recorded a sack or even got real pressure on Jalen Hurts. Oh, no. We're not going to be talking about that today. Instead, the big topic of discussion is hot Tua. Just times two. Boy, and when Dak did it, I mean, you saw it. He had the world's biggest smirk on his face. You think that's funny? You think that's funny? Look, man, I'm not justifying nothing, but if that's not a game of football, because we already saw what happened with Shiloh, apparently it's okay for them, but not for thee. And I've already discussed that ad nauseum with people on the internet. Fact of the matter is, we just saw what happened with him. He gets ejected immediately. I mean, that was it. Carter spit, he was gone. The referees just turned a blind eye to Dak. I am wanting to know what the fines are going to look like, what the suspensions are going to look like. Because it's all in 4K, Brody. Everybody got busted. So now I want to know. Okay, and I don't want to hear about what somebody said about somebody or who said what about who. Spitting is literally the most disrespectful thing that you can do. And normally it starts a real fight. If this was the street, a bar, a corner, somebody's backyard, I don't care, man. From the burbs to the block, that's automatic. But here we are. And now we're going to wait and see what the NFL does. Because we're going to find out if the NFL is Jerry Jones, and that's concerned with overall image. Because, see, the reason why I said Jerry was willing to give so much money to Dak wasn't because he was worried about winning. It was because he was concerned about the image of the Dallas Cowboys, because Dak Prescott has this clean image, which potentially just got blown over one incident. Probably not by most people, but there are people out there that will look at this and go, I thought Dak was the All-American guy. He's spitting at people and yucking it up. Then he's getting in their face. It's like, I mean, you could look at it like man stuff if you want to. I mean, Ray Lewis used to spit. Talking about it's a man's game tonight. Now you know that. But Ray Lewis was able to back up everything he ever did. Dak ain't one jack the last time I looked. In fact, it could be definitely argued that the defense carried them to that first ring. I'm just saying, I think when we look at it, because that was the argument, right? Shiloh and Hall of Famers and yada, yada, and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do and who's allowed to do what. Boy, I can't wait for everybody who was all over me on the internet figure this one out. Me personally, same punishment for everybody. What you give one, you must give the other, because they're both guilty of the exact same thing. I think it's as simple as that. You don't levy a $14K and half a game for one guy and then a $30K and 2 games for the other guy. You're going to have to say, even spread, Brody. And that's all there is to that. In terms of the game, Philly won. I think they'll take it. I think they're going to be frustrated with themselves. Obviously, not having Jalen Carter was probably a big difference for them. But I think at the end of the day, CeeDee Lamb is not going to be to blame. You know, that last one was real hard to catch. That was a tough ball. And it's in between two defenders. You got a guy coming directly at you. You've got to leap to make it. Now, simultaneously, if he holds on to the other one, that doesn't happen, right? But we don't know if they finish the drive, even at that. It was a dot. I'm more critical of Dak probably than anybody. That was a perfect pass. But at the end of the day, I think you have to give the Philly defense credit. Even without Carter, they really stepped up in the second half. You could blame the weather or not, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to say. For a while there, Dak was playing out of his mind football. I think he had a different focus. I think everything that's gone on with the Dallas Cowboys really got to him this season. You had Micah Parsons sticking up for him all the time. You had Jerry Jones during the offseason when everything started with Micah Parsons go, look, I just gave a guy a whole lot of money and he only played a few games for me last season, right? So he took a dig at his QB. I think he came out locked in. But somewhere along the way, Dak became Dak all over again, and it was evident who he still is. I'm not saying that the play to CD that was dropped that was on his numbers shouldn't have been caught, because it should have. But there were so many other plays that Dak missed during the course of that game that I think it became obvious. And me personally, if I'm looking at it from an old school standpoint, I'm thinking to myself, Schottenheimer, the name is just jinxed in the NFL. It don't matter what you draw up in the big games, your guys can't seem to do what they're supposed to do to win. It is what it is. Poor execution by the Dallas Cowboys in the second half as a team, led by Dak in that regard, is why they lost that football game. I think it's as simple as that. Angel Reese, well, she's trying to backpedal real quick, isn't she? For those who don't know here real quick, the long and the short of it is she said, look, we got to get some other people here. I'm doing this all by myself. And when that got leaked, it was, well, that's being taken out of context. And I feel bad because my players have been here with me. My teammates have been with me through this. Through what, Angel? Look, it's been rare to find somebody like me who's been behind her 100%. And here's the thing about these types of things. Number one, we ask our athletes to be honest, but when they are, we chastise them. But here's the thing, that honesty can't always come without some sort of consequence sometimes. And the fact of the matter is that what she said probably destroyed the locker room. Because now you're going to have a locker room divided. You're going to have some people that are going to go, well, dude, look at the way we're playing. You know, and you know, they're going to band together. Some will go, well, you know who it is. You know who she's talking about, right? And once those conversations become relevant in the locker room, it's over. And the other part to that is they could all band together and go, okay, look here, double queen, that's good and all, but maybe you could be doing a little bit more. And no, we're not going to all take the blame for the way things are with our basketball team right now. So now you have a decision to make as a franchise. You have to say to yourself, do we keep our star player, our most marketable player, maybe the most marketable player in all the WNBA? She certainly has the most followers on Instagram. She's been on the cover of Vogue this year. She's got that Reebok deal. She's had a deal with Reese's. I mean, she's accomplished a lot in terms of not just on the court, but away as well. She's been so much improved this season from what she was a season ago. She's added so many dimensions to her game. And now for this to come out, it's just a huge setback. So you have to decide, do we risk it all with our best player, our most marketable player? He made all these strides, but then this huge setback, and we just kind of look past it. Or do we let her go? I mean, that's what it amounts to, right? Me personally, I stand by one of the few things that I do stand by when it comes to being a player, because I believe a player should have choices over their own career. If they want to leave out of somewhere, they should be able to leave somewhere. If they want to request a trade, let them request a trade. I don't think anybody should be bound to anything, because team owners are never going to be bound to that. They will always figure out a way around things. We've seen players in the NBA traded during a game. Okay? As long as the owners are going to treat it like a business, so should the players. However, I don't think players should get a say-so in who comes and plays with their team. I didn't like it when Aaron Rodgers did it, and I'm not going to stand behind it when Angel Reese does it. And the reason why I say that is because at the end of the day, GMs and coaches have to make the decisions that say, we think this individual or these individuals are best for our team, not just the best, but the best for our team. And we expect you to adapt. And I don't think there should be a problem with that. Now, here's the thing. If they don't want to adapt and they want to request a trade, and I think if Angel would have come out and said, look, I want out of here, I want to request a trade, I think that would have been different. But to say, I need people around me, everybody else is trash, well, that's a tough pill to swallow. Especially the trade value for an Angel Reese. Look, Angel Reese haters, I'm going to tell you something. Whether you like it or not, she's peak. Especially with Caitlin Clark not playing right now. She's out the rest of the season with that groin injury. And they weren't exactly good while she was playing either. So, fact of the matter is, regardless of anything, Angel had to carry the league with her marketability. Even though there are other great players, she's probably the most marketable right now. And so you can say the expectation isn't being met by wins and losses metric. I'm not going to disagree with that. What I will say is this. Just because she's right, it doesn't make it okay, but it also doesn't mean that she's not marketable. Whether anybody likes it or not, she is. That's all I'm saying. And the bottom line here to that is now you've got to sit there and you got to think to yourself, okay, what are we going to do with this? Are we going to risk it Keep her, see how things turn out, or do we just trade her? Because everything has to happen while there's still value. And that one little comment, because of what it could do to the locker room, could really bring the value down, but it's still there. The markability and all that's, it's still possible. But it's gonna slim down real fast. So they got to hurry up and make an executive decision. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. Final on this really quick here. It's still ongoing. It's really more just of an ongoing story than it is anything else. Kawhi Leonard, the no-show job. Look, man, people have been figuring out a way around that salary cap for years. The Denver Broncos allegedly did it with John Elway. You know, if they need the money to be there, these dudes are business people, man. They have loopholes for everything. They will figure it out. I think the big question you have to ask yourself is Kawhi worth it to this point? When he's healthy, I don't know that there's really too many players that are better than him. I should say more like when he cares, right? When he cares, I don't know that there's many players better than him. You know, the thing when you do anything is, man, you got to figure out if the juice is worth the squeeze. And if this really did happen, the Clippers have to assess whether or not the juice was worth the squeeze, because you better be ready for the no championship, barely any playoff wins, has hardly played backlash. It is going to happen. Heck, it's probably happening already, to be honest. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow if that's real. Now, obviously, they've already put out the statement, this didn't happen. The person who said it was a now podcaster who used to contribute to ESPN. That's where they pulled the story from. Obviously, they're going to believe that anybody that they hired has credibility. Whether they're still working with them or not, they're going to respect the industry enough to not fabricate things like that. That's going to be the main thing. And ESPN was one of the first ones to cabbage onto it. So we'll see how it all goes down. The final thing here, apparently EA Sports is no longer working with all the collegiate programs. The rumor from Yahoo Sports is that there's too many other small-time gaming companies that they want to work with, and it looks like the NCAA is going to mainly shift towards 2K. It's funny to me because everybody bags on EA until EA no longer has their hand in something, and then it's, where's EA? I don't know, bro. I don't know what to tell anybody because, number one, I haven't played a video game for like 10 years now. It's been a while. Maybe a little less than that, but right around that time frame. The last one that I did was, NCAA football before they came out with this, before they finally re-released the game. But, here's what I'll say. I think we need to get back to a place where there are multiple of the same type of game made by people. The competition was healthy. I mean, when I was growing up, man, you didn't just have Madden and you didn't just have EA Sports. You had a lot of different video games for sports. I mean, you had Mutant League Football, man. You had Tecmo Super Bowl. You had Madden. You had Game Breaker. You had so many different versions. NFL Blitz, and video games were video games, man. You had basketball games that were just, like Street Ball and One and stuff like that, man. It wasn't just NBA. You had a balance. And we need to get that balance back. It's really depressing that one company has been allowed to monopolize the sports gaming world. I don't know that EA should stop making video games, but they certainly shouldn't be allowed to be the only ones. I'll tell you that much. And of course, by that, I mean sports video games. There's got to be an expansion out there. That's all I'm saying. I mean, remember ESPN, man, they had a really great game. You know, there were so many people out there that had, you know, good, fun games to play. But it got taken away from us because ultimately money rules everything, man. All right, everybody, I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I am wherever you're listening to broadcast. Simply tell your device to play the Drew Duncan Sports Show, The Smoke by Drew Duncan. I am on YouTube and TikTok, the RL Drew Duncan, the real Drew Duncan. Everybody stay safe, take care of yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your night and or day.